Okay. I think this is a commercial. Picture goats. So I think goats are natives.
I always am.
I think there's goats in the Alps.
Just because they can doesn't mean they should. Can they brand that? Can they brand that?
Hi, and welcome back to Can They Brand That, the only show brave enough to do what no one is asking for, which is brainstorm for an audience in real time.
And we're your hosts. I'm Lyndsay Sanders. That's Allie, LeFevere. And we are the co-founders of Semiserious, the world's first humor branding agency.
And you know the drill by now. So this is improvised branding. Basically, we pick a brand that we're excited to talk about. We set the timer for 20 minutes and we riff as many ideas as we can. Ridiculous, good, bad, ugly. And you get to see them all.
Or in some episodes, we forget to set the timer and we just keep going and going. Like we had one the other day that was 45 minutes. It was like, are you saying the timer? I thought I was saying the timer. We need a big stopwatch.
I know. We really do. I know. We say 20 minutes and then sometimes it's 30 and they're liars. I can't trust anything they've branded.
So today's brand that we're taking on is Ricola. Or let me say that again.
Ricola. Thank God. Thank God.
Now people are like, that, which is Swiss herbal cough drops, made famous by that commercial.
And I thought you were going to bring your big Alp Horn too.
Yeah. No, I always leave that at home.
You do.
I forget it. I forget it at home, and I mean to bring it every recording, actually.
And the one time it is necessary to really get our point across, you forget it.
Reached up over here and got it off the wall and was like, oh, this. Wow.
I was hoping you'd do your trumpet sound.
I sort of modified the trumpet to be like a horn, and I think it worked. I think it worked.
It did have the ambiance of being on a hillside. So I really, I could hear the breeze. Yeah.
I could feel the lederhosen on my body. Wait, that's not Swiss. Are they in lederhosen in that commercial?
They're in suspenders at a minimum.
At least.
I don't know what's the formal name, but
for Swiss spenders. Suspenders. I think it's suspenders.
Yeah, Swisspenders. So before we get into today's brainstorm, you can like and subscribe. We would really appreciate that. That's it, right?
That's all we ask of you. Like, subscribe, laugh, tell your friends, share. Mm-hmm. Tell the world. That's, So I think we should get into it. Let's start the timer so we can answer the question on everybody's minds. Can they brand that?
Can you hear my child screaming bloody murder?
A little bit.
Okay.
A little bit.
The good news is I can
the audio
that out.
AI will make it seem like you don't have a child.
It'll strip motherhood right out of my life. Wow.
AI,
what can it do?
Can you fix the bags under my eyes?
Please.
Can you potty train on my behalf? Because I'm not looking forward to that. Don't say anything. Don't.
I don't want to put my curse on you.
Don't. Listen, we all have our strengths and your kids sleep. Maybe mine will pee. Okay. Hit me. I know you got something cooking up there.
Okay. Well, when we decided Ricola, you mentioned an idea. And so I want you to give your idea first, because then I want to piggyback off of it.
I don't remember it.
You had mentioned just the one thing you said, the only thing you said was yodel competition.
I completely forgot.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yes. So take it.
Okay. So, well, first of all, I do think the idea of a yodel competition is hilarious. And that would be a really funny thing to explore. I didn't really think through the idea at all because I thought you were going to really come to the table with this whole thing mapped out.
Okay.
Let's talk real time.
If I could share my screen real quick, I've just got a quick 60-page deck about the yodeling competition. No, but it does make me think, because I know they're not actually. Do you think that holler, the Ricola holler, counts as a yodel? Probably not by yodeler standards.
Ricola. I mean,
what's a yodel and what's a yell?
Well, do you think Ricola, because it has a little bit of a fluctuation of sound, maybe that does?
But whether or not we are hearkening back to that competition, that commercial, it is still really funny to have a competition that really requires throat health and throat that. So like whether that was yodeling or singing or, like, aren't there like pig calling or bird calling, duck calling, like anything where you would have to have a very high functioning throat and no cough would be a fun way, like a fun thing for Ricola to sponsor.
Oh, I think it's so funny. I also love the idea. Imagine it being like American Idol, but it's everyone kind of in the traditional
American
garb.
Yodel. American Yodel.
It's so funny. I think that just the visual of it is it's so delightful. And I don't know if you have to factor the word Ricola into the yodel, or is it just like a straight yodel competition?
Yeah.
Ricola.
And they're just brought to you by Ricola, like sponsored by Mountain Dew, like they do that. That's funny.
Okay. So that idea made the first thing I thought of because of when you drop that competition idea on me is I was thinking, wouldn't it be funny to create like a yodeling boy band? And they can all fall into kind of the traditional boy band archetypes, like the heartthrob, the rebel, the shy one, the forgettable one.
Yeah. The funny one. There's always one that's just like zany.
Yeah. And then there's just kind of like the number two, right? That there's like
totally
the hot one. And then there's like the
Heartthrob Junior. Like it's like
Heartthrob Junior,
the hot one's best friend.
And he also has a better voice generally.
Yeah. The second one, you mean?
Second one. Yeah.
Yes, typically.
Yeah. So anyway, I was thinking it was so funny, but then they have on the traditional like Swiss garb. So they have the suspenders, they have the whatever we decided it's called, lederhosen, but lederhosen-esque. And then I don't know, maybe someone in the band uses the Alp Horn. Like I did look up that's what it's called, the Alp Horn. But I just thought it was so.
Are you saying
so
Alp, like ALP or ELK?
Alp, ALP. Yeah. I thought it'd be such a funny idea to do a yodeling boy band. I just imagine and like doing the parody that is screaming fans that are throwing, I don't know, Swiss cheese or throwing. I mean, that's so cliche, right? But I just thought it was just the visuals alone of them trying to be sexy and cool in this incredibly unsexy wardrobe.
Are you picturing it as an activation or a commercial?
I think of it as like a commercial or like a bit or a stunt. I don't know if they have some sort of live performance aspect. It could be a commercial. It could be, I don't know. I don't know really how it takes to like, it comes to life entirely, but there's something
I would love
there.
if they worked on it behind the scenes and then showed us later, like watch us try to launch a yodeling boy band for real, like them sending letters or emails to studio execs, them pitching, and they can probably finally get into some music festival. Like see if they could pull enough strings to get them on the tiniest font at Lollapalooza or what's the one in LA?
Oh, in the desert, it's Coachella.
Yeah, Lollapalooza or Coachella, and then they get it, and everyone's like, "Is this real?" Like. Ricola, like, I don't know, not the Ricola boys. We'd have to like do something that would not,
I was thinking too.
not give it away. And then later be like this whole time it was sponsored by Ricola, like a long con thing.
What if it was called You plus me cola equals us?
I was just going to say, it reminds me of the satirical boy band show on MTV. Was that the late 90s or the early 2000s?
I feel like it was early 2000s. I feel like I was in college.
Weren't they called To Get Her? Like Together?
Yeah, and their main song was You plus me equals us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And they had Say It, Don't Spray It. I remember all their hits.
Chris Farley's brother was one of the, he was the funny one.
The worst part of breaking up is getting back your stuff. I don't know why. It is cemented.
It's such a good line.
Also, didn't we just do a boy band for Vibram? We did boy band and girl band for All Five Toes.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, we did. But I like it. I think, you know what? There are some things we're going to look back on this season of the show and be like, there will always be a commercial about people falling in love with the product. There will always be a boy band. There will always be athletes or minor athletes involved in some way. There's a couple things we tend to revisit. There'll always be some sort of joke, riddle, question, or something written on the label if possible. Like it's interesting. Those things.
We've got some things in our arsenal that we keep dipping into.
It's like a 12 trick pony. It's fine.
Yeah. But I like the angle you're taking is that let's try to do it for real and then do almost like a mockumentary of the making of the yodeling band.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. And that you would like look back and go, we spent the last 6 months developing this band. We did like a star search, like truly getting, but although, can you yodel? Well, if Ricola had hired us, I was going to see how can people yodel together and harmonize and stuff. It'd be.
Oh, I'm sure there's harmonizing and yodeling. It's so elegant. It's just so melodic.
I mean, it is. It is. I just didn't. I thought that yodels were sort of riffs. Like I didn't know that they were following a melodic pattern, and someone could know where to go with them to harmonize. But if anyone can do it, the Yodel Boys,
the Yodel Boys can do it. Okay, so that was the stupid idea that I
love it.
Yeah, you were the inspo for that.
I'm on it. Me and my Alp Horn. Okay, this is sort of harkening back to I've done this a little bit. I did this with Brawny, where I wanted to have a steamy fanfic writing story competition starring the Brawny man in the romantic-y stories. But I was thinking there should be the idea of it being like cold and flu season, and you usually take these when you're sick, and it would either be a sort of thriller, psychological crime short story competition, or something called You're Sick. And it was like 6 stories, or like they had some month-long thing where they like shared the sickest, unwell, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then all tied it back to like, I don't know if it's, but you're not because you have Ricola or whatever.
Is it
slasher?
Do the stories have to tie into the brand at all? Like, does it have to have a theme? Okay, it's just kind of anything.
It's just like the most depraved.
Like you're so sick.
It would do well in Halloween, like horror, gore, like people that like that genre, which there are a lot of them, and being like, or like you're a sicko, and it would just be some twisted thing.
Lyndsay, it reminds me of, so we have another podcast, we have another show, which why not drop it here? Why not? It's called Fangasm. It's comedy podcast. We've had it for almost a decade. We read erotic fan fiction and then make jokes about it as we're reading it. And we read it for the first time live as we record. So anyway, I just want a little setup because I wanted to say that reminds me of the story we read where it was Hannibal and Willy Wonka.
Yes.
And it was like, it was gory. I mean, they're normally not like that, but this one happened to be demented that we read. It was so funny.
Yeah.
But it was a Hannibal Willy Wonka pairing. And so like that, it's like that kind of sicko, crazy story writing competition.
Right.
Or there obviously should be some like, parameters around it, like everything,
of course,
legal, I guess, age appropriate. Maybe that's the biggest parameter.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like they could also do it in the form of, they could also just launch like a month-long podcast where they just like a little short form thing where they shared a bunch of sick stories and it was like, you're sick, we're not, or something like that. There's like a bunch of different ways to do it, or a festival, not a festival. What's that called? Yeah. Festival of a bunch of people, like people who love horror and gore.
There's like, I think that there's a horror con. I don't know if that's what it's called.
I'm sure.
I'm pretty sure they have a horror film festival. It's either Sundance or Telluride. I'm pretty sure one of them does a horror film festival. So it'd be really fun to do some sort of sponsorship, like, or there where a lot of people are immersed in the experience. Yeah, that's fun.
Like, which horror films are like slasher, like throat slashers, and they could just do screenings of movies in like, they could pick a couple major cities and do like movies all throughout October on Friday nights, and it's like brought to you by Ricola, and it's all like throat slasher stuff.
Yeah, like
that would work.
I would say like the Jasons, the Freddys, like any of those kind of real fun throwback.
Yeah.
Because now I feel like they're a little more psychological horror versus we want gore. I guess we want more like theatric gore. That's fun.
I want blood and phlegm. Ew.
Yikes.
Yikes.
Okay. When you were talking about that, my brain like veered off into another direction for a minute, and then I came back. And so let me real time try to get this thought out. Okay. I think this is a commercial. Picture goats. So I think goats are natives to this.
I always am.
I think there's goats in the Alps. If there's not,
I'm sure, right? Like those ones that can climb that are like
they walk on like really tiny ridges. Yeah. I'm pretty sure. Let's just assume this happens here.
Swiss goats.
So the commercial idea I have, it's so stupid, is imagine there are goats that are on the side of a mountain and they're on like one of those really tiny ridges and one is coughing and every time he coughs a little bit of rock crumbles down. And so the other goats are getting a little stressed because he's going, oh my God. And then the rocks are crumbling. And so one of the goats hands him a Ricola and says, please, like, or like, enough is enough, or you're going to get us killed or something. And then he takes a Ricola and then he's fine.
And he saves all his herd. No, it's great. And then they could be like saving goats everywhere, or like the goat of cough drops. Then they can use greatest of all time.
Yes. Yeah.
Which also makes me think of if there was just like a billboard and it said like the goat of cough drops, and it showed like a very, because I think those Swiss goats have some like funny horns, and like he could be going like, I'm right here, like I'm like the goat, like I don't know.
That would be a funny billboard campaign, because it's just so
just
stupid
to be
and silly.
very silly,
so dumb. So okay.
I had an idea.
Okay.
I was thinking about the word drop and like cough drop and other sort of activations that could use the word drop, like a beat drop or a mic drop, or like mic drop moments. And like, it's like I'm picturing some like really goofy dude in a commercial who like thinks he's like killing it with punchlines. And when he's done doing something, he like drops a bag of Ricola and he's like, cough drop. Or like, I don't know. And they're like, oh, this is what he does every cold and flu season or whatever. Like he like, I don't know, like he's like sort of Michael Scott-esque and like busting in with what he thinks are good like comebacks or something.
What he thinks are drops. Like he thinks he can drop anything.
Yeah.
Cough drop. Cough drop. And then he walks away, throws his hands in the air and walks off stage.
Like, they're like, that's not, or with beat drop, I think it would be just like techno music. It's like, imagine the juxtaposition of beautiful like Swiss countryside and someone's taking a Ricola, but the whole time it's like a techno song and you're waiting for the beat drop and they're coughing, they take it. And then when the beat drops, that's it like kicking in, or like, like zooms relief inside their throat. Yeah. It's relief. Yeah. The beat drops, the cough drops when the beat drops. I don't know. That's where I love the
That's funny. That's funny because the silence as being like the crescendo is actually really funny.
Yeah.
Hold on, that makes that same concept makes me think of, you could even do some sort of campaign where maybe you're just showing like the beautiful Alps and you just hear coughing. You hear someone unwrap a wrapper, take it, and then it's like, and then it's silence. And then you hear like the birds. It's something really simple about that. And you like never see a person. It's just all like ASMR. That's really cool. You never see a person. You really are just like looking at this like beautiful visual. I guess I have their website pulled up and it's like gorgeous rolling hills and wildflowers on, cascading down in a beautiful, fjord or whatever.
That's really smart.
But that's the same like idea where like the silence is kind of that's what you lead to.
I like that. That's fun.
You know, it'd be, or hold on, another idea with that. Like, or maybe it's like cutting between scenes where it's really crowded and there's like a lot of people, like a city bus, an airplane, a church, like somewhere where like you don't want a coughing person to be. I mean, you don't want to be anywhere, but like somewhere where it's like there's too many people, but you never maybe see the coughing person. You just see people's like, maybe like aggravated looks on their faces or reactions. And then you hear the rapper and then you hear it stop, or I don't know. And then it's like a smooth ride or a smooth flight, or
I know. I kept picturing a subway or like an L car full of people like in the winter when you're like, oh my gosh.
That reminds me of a time when I was little. So I've told you about this before. My childhood best friend came from like a really strict Italian family, and she's never going to watch this show. I'm free to admit that I was always uncomfortable at her house growing up.
Yeah.
I always felt judged. I always felt stressed. It was really quiet. It was very sterile. There was like no toys, but she was a delight. And so I wanted to go over there and spend time with her, but I would get really uncomfortable as a kid. And I come from an Italian family too. And everyone's like really warm and really welcoming. And it was like the polar opposite experience. And so anyway, I remember I went somewhere with her family. I can't remember what the destination was, but we got in the family van and I got into a coughing jag, and I was probably in 4th grade, and I started coughing and I was trying to hold it, and I was coughing so much I had tears running down my face, and I was like so embarrassed, and like no one was reacting like in what I think is a normal human way, where you'd be like, "Are you okay, sweetheart?"
Yeah.
They were just like silent, and I was going, and I'm tears running down my face, and it's like the shame is building and sweeping over my body. And I could have really used a Ricola.
Oh my gosh. Okay. When you're talking about being a kid, if they made a Ricola kids one, can kids,
I don't know
I
if they
guess
do.
kids at a certain age when they weren't like out of choking hazard time, you know how little kids though make the craziest coughing face? Like they cough with their mouths open, just bleh. Like, you know, there's those iconic like memes of it.
Yeah.
It'd be really funny if that was like a frozen image on a billboard, and then you had like the cough drop filling their little like mouths, like, and it's like, we've got it, like something.
Yeah, that's
Cover
cute.
your mouth.
It's almost like, covering up, because they cough with their whole body and
their tongue for some reason.
Tongue,
like,
and you feel it like come out at you. You're like, oh my God, is this what the spread of germs actually looks like visualized?
I am seeing this.
I'm watching a pandemic spiral into life. That's so funny. Another thing I'm thinking of, because I'm thinking about like Swiss, going really hard in the paint on Swiss.
We should. I feel like
we should. They really embrace it in their branding. Is like, what if you think about like the pantheon of all things Swiss? So watches, cheese, chocolate, I don't know, financial institution. What else are they known for? But anyway, banking. But you
skiing,
like, picture. Yeah, like the Alps. I was picturing like almost like a museum. Okay, so like you're almost like in a museum at some sort of exhibit, and they're doing like a slow horizontal pan, and you see like in a glass showcase, you see a bar of chocolate, and you see like a little piece of Swiss cheese, and you see a Rolex or some sort of Swiss watch, and then you see just on a satin pillow like one Ricola unwrapped cough drop. It's like what all things Swiss are.
Yes.
I have another idea.
Yeah, do it.
Now, do I think airlines are maybe a little too cheap to do something like this? Potentially. But I think it'd be really fun if Ricola partnered with airlines that flew to Switzerland. And they did like welcome bags or some sort of fun gift bag when you land in the country. I've been on one flight. I think it was when I went, it was somewhere out east. I can't remember if it was Thailand or India or somewhere, but where I got like something before I landed, like the airline passed out something that was like, it was like little desserts that was like reflective of the country. But it would be like a fun partnership to have like a goodie bag of all things Swiss upon entering the country. It'd be kind of cute.
I know, because I was like, they sometimes can wrap planes. That I was like, my brain this whole time you were talking about that was trying to make Air Force One into Swiss or Ricola. Like some special plane that is like wrapped in that as like a moving, like air spread love, Ricola, wings, not germs.
What
germ
are
force?
Herb
cough force.
Yeah, what did they say? Herb
force one.
Relief.
Wait, okay.
Relief one.
We have to move on to Mascot in a few minutes, but I had an idea with herb that in the next political cycle, and it doesn't have to be like the presidential campaign, but something else major that they run an I'm with Herb campaign instead of like I'm with her. And because they're neutral, they're famous for being neutral. And that it's just like, we're not picking sides. I'm with Herb. And they could do a total political thing all about their like special herbs and all that stuff.
That's really funny, Linz, because because when people
like
always say I'm Switzerland, which means like I don't take sides. That's funny. Yeah, that's a funny play into the stereotype. I like that. Okay, hold on. I have one other idea. This is like so stupid. This would be a stunt. Is there anything stupid with like picture like not a massive jar, like a 1 story high, tall, huge jar, and it's filled with Ricola, and it's some sort of fun competition where you have to guess how many are in the jar.
Those are fun.
And then the winner wins a trip to the Swiss Alps or something. I don't know.
The Ricola factory?
Yeah, like maybe a tour of the factory. It's like a whole all expense trip, but there's some, it's like some sort of guessing competition. The person closest wins. And then it's like, I think it's just like a real fun stunt that would garner
That's great.
Like attention or virality of some sort.
I love that. I also thought we haven't played on sore, like the aspect of a sore throat, which I think they relief. And so I was like, what if they did a sore losers campaign and it was them and all of their competitor cough drops, but embodied by like some sort of like low stakes intramural league. So it's like kickball. It's like Halls versus Ricola, or it's dodgeball or something.
That'd be really funny.
The dodgeballs are like in the Ricola wrap, like whatever. Anyway, it's just some commercial where that it's like sore. We don't like sore throats or sore losers around here. Some funny embodiment of them like taking out their competition.
That's funny. I think it'd actually be funny if the other brands would be willing to get like to actually
totally
duke it out as like a faux. Which one is the best? It's like obviously not the best at whatever the promise of the brand itself, but there is a funny element of that. Okay, I have one other idea. Hold on, let me try to get this out of my head in real time.
Oh, I have one more too.
Okay, the way I'm picturing it is like it's some sort of like a CNN or whatever, MSNBC ticker that's saying like breaking news, and it's talking about
yes.
It's getting worse the more it comes out of my body. I was thinking it was going to be like something along the lines of like it's like sweeping the nation that people are naming their kids Ricola. And all of a sudden you just hear like you'd hear us just from an open window, you hear Ricola, like as if they're calling their children, or maybe a new baby is born and they like are excitedly announcing the name of their baby. And it's Ricola.
That's your idea on how we're bringing that iconic commercial back. Is there's baby being born and they're announcing it with the horn.
Because it almost does have it almost feels like a name like Nicola.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It should be on like top baby name lists. Like they should make some graphics of that. Or like, imagine a pan of the little, they don't do this anymore really. Well, maybe sort of like the nursery when they're just born and they have the names up on there and it's just going all of it. It's like Ricola. And the nurse it should be like, it's a beautiful name for a baby. Because that just cuts.
Because I was just trying to think of what's a fun way to bring back that sound in a new way.
Wait, okay. That horn thing makes me think of how funny would it be if we had a traditional looking Swiss person like Mr. Ricola and he's come to the Big Apple for the first time for meetings and he's driving, but instead of using his horn, anytime he's mad, he gets out and he's just like, and he just uses the horn or like he's on a city bike and he doesn't use that and instead he uses his horn. Like what's all of this? I don't know how this promotes the product, but that's what I pictured of him using that instead of his car horn.
I feel like it has to be in New York City. It has to be somewhere where you're going to frequently use a horn.
Yeah. That's why I said the Big Apple.
You did say the Big Apple. Oh, sorry.
I don't know why I called it that. It's like that's like calling it Chi-Town. And he's at the Big Apple, obviously. Okay. One more idea on my end before we cut to Mascot. The Bachelor is coming back. It's actually going to be The Bachelorette. I just saw. I'm sure Matt. Allie's husband is the biggest
loves.
franchise fan.
Oh, he's got it in his calendar. Don't worry.
He's locked in. To do some sort of either commercial or collaboration where like, it's like the hottest person you've ever seen and it's all in slow-mo and they're maybe at that mansion with the like wet floor for some reason and they're holding a rose and it turns around and they're like smiling and then they get into a coughing jag and the music sort of stops and the tagline is sort of like no one's hot when they're coughing or like everyone's ugly when they're coughing or something like ruin the mood. Don't let your cough ruin the mood. And it's like all these like sort of steamy, sexy singers or like just, imagine like a pinup person with the wind in their hair and then they just like start having like an absolute coughing fit like you in the back seat of your friend's car.
Like me in a minivan.
It's hot when they're coughing.
No, that's really funny. I was trying to make like I do not accept this rose. I couldn't figure out because if it was Kleenex or something, it'd be like blows or nose or
yeah. I guess I took it more just as a hot person, but
as a hot person,
it would look like visually like it was a bachelor or bachelorette.
That's funny. I like it.
Unfortunately, we're running out of time. We got to do Mascot. You got anything?
Mascot o'clock.
Mascot. Mascot o'clock.
Okay, the first idea I had was just I think it'd be funny to make the goat, the mascot.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I love that.
I just love the idea of having a goat as a mascot.
Yeah.
I think it's hilarious. Again, it could be kind of maybe it's like the version of the one I mentioned earlier where he's always got maybe Ricola on him and he's like passing them out in situations that are like tenuous. I don't know, but I think or he doesn't even have to have a voice, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it'd be funny.
Could he have one of those little like saddlebag things and it's full of Ricola on both sides? If you put it over a goat and he's like, that's what he's like hiking to bring Ricola to all the villages.
I like that.
It's the hardest working goat. I thought of a gross phrase for something that I think a cough drop does is it like gives your throat a hug, like a throat hug. And so then I thought of just a mascot guy that says, I'm a hugger. For some reason, he's just, or like, how like the worst.
And he strangles you?
Yeah. The worst guys are like, where's my hug? And he's just I don't know if he's a foil. I don't know what he is, but that's what came to my mind. I'm a hugger. And then the other one was, when
this will make your throat feel better. Is it like this will make your throat feel better and he just hugs you?
He just hugs you. Or like, and then it's like, and then it cuts to how the cough is, the cough drop is working on your throat. I was thinking also of just like a piano player tickling the ivories, just like a guy just tickling because like a throat tickle, that's as far as I got. I don't know.
I love it's beautiful.
We got a goat, got a piano player, we got a hugger. And then of course, if there's names, it's either Rick for Ricola. He's the spokesperson or Herb is how you say the man's name, right?
Or like even Herbie is a kind of cute version. Okay, I have one other idea. Imagine it's just like an unwrapped Ricola cough drop, but in lederhosen, like in like the hat with the suspenders.
Himself. And he's just, oh my gosh, he should be blowing the horn. He should be like doing some sort of traditional dance. He should be working so hard so that we don't
forget. Yeah. Wait, but I think it's even funny if he doesn't have a face. Like he doesn't have.
No, it's just like the center, but he's got truly, all the accoutrement.
Yeah, he's all the exactly.
I picture that.
The whole garb, all the garb on. Okay, that's it. That's my only.
We got it. By the way, my mom told me that Mascot O'Clock's her favorite segment.
Oh, really?
So, Mindy says she loves the segment, so we got to keep it. Goat or no goat?
Oh my God,
Irby the goat would be a fun name for the goat.
That's cute.
Okay, hired or fired?
I think there's a lot of funny hired. I'm trying to think of what a fired would be. Probably the birth rate skyrocketing and kids all being named Ricola.
You were onto something. No, the first part of it is great. You're really wedging the horn in, I gotta say. I think the Ricola as a like top 2026 baby name and like doing fake news about that and stuff would be very funny.
Okay, so you don't even need to hear Ricola. Just okay,
no. just reading it along like Brinley, you know, like shenanigans, like all these crazy ones, and then it's like Ricola.
You sure we can't hand the horn?
Are you sure? I think a hired would be the throat slasher movie screenings sponsored by Ricola, like in a couple big cities, or the like your sicko horror things. I think that's.
I think making
fun.
of the band is a funny concept.
Yes,
it would have to be more kind of fleshed out. Like, with what direction do you take it? Is it just like a singular commercial bit, or do you actually do more like a mockumentary style building of the band? Yodeling, I think it's so funny.
I think also tied to that is like a little lower of a lift is truly just a parody funny commercial called American Yodel with like the same like celebrity judges you could get in the commercial. This feels like a Super Bowl commercial where you're we are trying to cast the next great American Yodel. And but they go up and they're like, hey, I'm so-and-so. And then no matter what genre they yodel, you know, you've got like the Carrie Underwoods, the Kelly Clarkson. I think that'd be great.
And you have Simon Cowell, Randy.
Yeah.
Randy.
Everybody.
Why can't I think of Randy's last name?
I don't know. That's a no for me, dog. Randy.
Yeah, I know.
I keep wanting to say Savage because that's on my brain for my last one.
And then Paul Abdul.
Randy Johnson.
It's Randy Jackson.
Jackson.
That's really funny. And then Simon's like, I'm sorry, there's just not a future for you in this industry.
You're not a yodeler.
And Paula gives her deranged response that makes no sense.
Well, also, you're talking old school American Idol, which there have been lots of new celebrity judges like Katy Perry, but like there's just like tons
You're
of
right. I'm going too old.
You're going the OG. But I think Simon is still there.
Yeah, Simon's feels very present
sometimes.
To me. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I think that'd be great. I'm going to fire myself for tickling the piano player Mascot because I could not connect. Could barely connect the dots there.
You would have to have
couldn't connect the drops.
You would have to have him playing in someone's throat, which would be funny.
That's right. It zooms in and he's just going to town on your
vocal cords.
What's that thing called? Yeah.
Or hold on.
Oh,
something with chords. Playing chords.
Oh yeah.
Playing the wrong chords.
He's playing your vocal cords like a
Yeah. Like a chainsaw. I don't know. Tired all back to Halloween.
Perfect.
Yeah, those are, and I kind of like the goat on the mountainside as a hired. And the other goat's coughing.
Oh my gosh, him coughing. I love that.
And I think it's a funny commercial.
I always like when a very cute animal life is in danger. I think that makes me want to pop a drop.
We like high anxiety.
Drop and lock it. You could have break dancers. They're pretty quiet. They can't cough.
Wait, hold on. And what if they spin up on one of their, like they spin up on an elbow and they pop a cough drop? It's like pop, lock it, or pop,
drop and lock it, pop, lock.
Well, because it's normally pop, lock, and drop it, but it's funny. Well, I guess you could still do that. Pop, lock, and drop it.
Yeah.
And drop it. You're dropping it in as the last.
Also, I think that's a way of dancing that is not break dancing. I think I'm conflating them. I think pop, lock, and drop it is like a way to dance. Yeah. So maybe while they're doing that, they pop it and then they drop it. Well, what a mic drop. We really did it. I thought that was great. Ricola, call us. Oh, shameless plug.
Yeah.
Speaking of Ricola calling us, you can have one of these episodes for your very own brand if you would like. You can go to our website, semiseriousagency.com, to read all about that. And then if you want the full shebang, if you want a ton of strategy, if you want just as much fun and a lot more time, we work with brands on a full scale level, and you can go to the same website to find out about that, whichever you like. That's
Wonderful.
it, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Another successful. They just got stormed.
Nailed it.
Yeah, perfect.
I wish I could make the horn noise like you can. I'll blow and you make your noise.
Okay. See you next time.